My name is Jason, and this is the Trophy Role-Playing Game Kickstarter Special. Folks, the Trophy Role-Playing Game is coming to Kickstarter January 21st, and we are invading all of the Gauntlet Network podcast feeds to tell you about it. I am joined by Jesse Ross, the creator of the Trophy Role-Playing Game. Hi, Jesse.
Hello. Thank you for having me.
Thanks for being here. Are you excited about Kickstarter?
Oh my God, I'm so excited. I can't wait for this.
This road has been a long one.
It truly has. Yeah, I'm super psyched. I almost can't believe that this is happening. It feels very surreal right now.
Well, the buildup has been very long.
Yes.
So hopefully this is a successful campaign. Okay, so folks, we're going to talk about a few things today. We're going to first start by talking about the history and development of the Trophy Role-Playing Game. Then we're going to talk about, in turn, each of the 3 books that we are kickstarting, because we are kickstarting 3 books: Trophy Dark, Trophy Gold, and Trophy Loom. And then we're going to talk about some of the details of the actual Kickstarter campaign, including add-ons, pledge tiers, and things like that. So let's get going. Jesse, big picture, dig deep all the way back in your memory archive. How did Trophy get started?
Good question. So the original impetus for it was I was pretty obsessed with this game called Symbaroum, which was, or is, I should say, a dark fantasy game by the Swedish group. It used to be Yarnringen, now it's Free League. And the setting itself is really great. It's a really compelling take on dark fantasy, but I didn't love the mechanics, I have to say. It's a little crunchier than I wanted, a little more combat focused, but I love the setting and wanted to build something that could play in that world, and had been recently obsessed with Cthulhu Dark and some of the light mechanics that happen in that game, and decided to blend those ideas together and just built a little simple rule set for basically playing Cthulhu Dark style mysteries in Symbaroum. From there, it kind of turned into its own thing. Through a variety of evolutions and tests and a lot of talking to you early on from the developer program, I started tweaking it, pulling little bits of tech from other games that I really liked. So a little bit of Dungeon World here, a little bit of Blades in the Dark there. Mm-hmm. Yep. And it turned into its own thing, which was really about the horror of the forest and kind of a people versus nature mentality. Trophy was like this little seed that was planted in my brain that grew into this crazy forest, and I started playtesting it, trying it with other people, getting other ideas, and it grew into this massive, wild, crazy thing.
You know, I watched its development from the other side of the table. I was intending to publish it, of course, but originally, as you pitched it, you pitched the Symbaroum with the serial numbers filed off idea, right?
Right.
Like, I think it was called Dark Davokar at that time, yep. Right? And I thought that was a great idea. I was into that. I also am very, very fond of Symbaroum's setting, but not super fond of the mechanics, just because I prefer lighter play. And I think most of our listeners will be sympathetic to that, I'm pretty sure. Mm-hmm. But what I thought was so interesting about it is I really like how you basically took your simple system, continued to develop it to make it something a little bit more enriched and complex, but still quite like light and easy to work with. And that was great. But what I thought was really fascinating was you actually boiled down the setting, right?
Right.
It no longer was about like the big world of Symbaroum or a Symbaroum-like world, but it was about just this forest,
right,
and these treasure hunters who are doomed. They are very likely doomed anyway. And it became a game about psychological horror. It became a game about treachery. It became a game about foolhardiness, right? Mm-hmm. And I loved that that focusing that took place. But then, and this is where it gets really interesting for me, you and I decided to say, okay, well, we've done the forest, like what other forests are there? Mm-hmm. What other settings are there? What other kinds of incursions? That's what we call adventures in Trophy, right? Incursions. What other kinds of incursions are there? And then it kind of like built out. So it was kind of interesting that the setting sort of like contracted, mm-hmm. but then expanded in a way.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, I thought that was interesting.
Yeah, that's a really good point. One of the things early on that I was super interested in exploring with this game was the idea of hubris and the whole concept of people who have nothing left to lose, but think somehow they are entitled to these like riches outside of their world, that they should go out and like get these things, and they're the people who can do it, and they can accomplish it. That idea was something that I really wanted to hit hard and play with. I think that really comes through and has always been kind of a core part of the game, right? Like the people that you are playing in Trophy are not always great people.
No, they're scoundrels in a lot of cases.
Right. Yeah. And having those simple mechanics like help focus the game on that idea.
Yeah, and well, that's what I think is so interesting, because like you were able to focus in on that idea, on that sort of big overarching theme, and then that was the sort of scaffolding that allowed us to then build out the world to be something unique and original, right?
Right.
And so I thought that was pretty great, and that's actually a pretty good lead into what I want to talk about next, which is Trophy is somewhat unique, I think, in role-playing games in how we have developed it and rolled it out to people, right? We printed the core rules in Codex Dark 2. This was back in, I want to say, the fall of 2018. It was a while ago.
Yeah.
We said, here are the core rules. Here's a framework for creating your own incursions. Here's a sample incursion. Take it away. And then every month in Codex after that, and up to this very day, we published a brand new incursion for Trophy, right? And so people could see different iterations of the forest idea. Some of the new incursions were literal forests. Others were similar types of settings or settings that could be fit within Trophy's scenario structure, but were not forests, but still helped explore those big ideas of like desperate, doomed treasure hunters, you know, in a place where they're not supposed to be, right?
Right.
And so we started sort of just month to month developing like the setting, basically, right? Like we introduced new parts of this world. We introduced new authors. We had lots of new authors contributing new incursions, and those authors brought their ideas about the Trophy world into it, right? And so it just sort of like grew into this really interesting thing. And then that eventually led to the spin-off game Trophy Gold, which we're going to talk about. And so I think it's just interesting that how this game developed. It's not like we just like put out a book and said, here, you know, like, here is Trophy. It was something that started at point A and just kind of developed until we're here, you know, now.
Yeah.
And I think that's really fascinating. Like people have gotten to like kind of see it develop over the course of months.
Yeah, it's been super great as kind of the initial author of the game. Obviously it's expanded out and other people have contributed, but as we would release new pieces, seeing people play it, comment on it, get feedback, like reincorporate it in almost real time. It reminds me a lot actually of kind of the public development process that a lot of people are doing right now, right? Every month we're putting out something new and getting feedback on it and play testing it and tweaking it, reincorporating, building on top of it. And it is a much richer game than it would have been had we not done that. Had we had it all planned out from the beginning, I think we would have missed a lot of really good ideas.
I agree 100%. And in fact, that's actually something that I think is really special about Trophy as a project, is that Trophy is very much a community-driven kind of thing, right? Of course, we invited other authors to write incursions for the game, but then last fall we did the contest, and I think the incursion writing contest was a it was a moment for the game, because that was when we really kind of said to the game design community, hey, come engage with this, come write for this, come do this. Then you wrote the system reference document, which further invited people to create things for Trophy. As I watch it happening now, and this is very much happening right now, this is a real-time kind of thing, what I see is the early days of Dungeon World. What was so exciting about Dungeon World is Dungeon World was a great rule set and it was fun to play. But what was really exciting about Dungeon World is that spirit of community creation, right? Like that was like what was really wonderful about Dungeon World. And I love that about Trophy. I mean, there are people out there who are creating incursions that take place in, you know, in science fiction scenarios, in modern day scenarios. We have people who are creating official and unofficial dark fantasy scenarios that take place in the world of Trophy. There's just so much cool stuff. In fact, talking about Kickstarter, there are going to be probably 7 or 8 Trophy Zine Quest projects that are going to be launching as well, like on the heels of our campaign. So the community aspect of it has been so interesting.
And the community is not just vibrant, but so kind and so giving. Like it's
Right.
just an incredible group of people. I'm always so excited to be interacting with them and answering questions and seeing what they're working on. They're just really great people, and I could not be happier.
Very, very excited to like play with the rule set and the guidelines, right? Like very interested in taking the core of Trophy and kind of making it their own. And I love that so much. I think that is like the coolest thing. And like you said, if we're calling it official first party trophy or whatever, like that has been affected in a big way by a lot of the sort of third party stuff, right?
Yeah.
A lot of the independent creator
for
stuff.
sure.
So,
Yeah.
so it's just a really, really cool, exciting space. And it's happening right now, you know, like this is not a like, oh, back in days of yore. Like this is like a thing right now.
Right.
And it's pretty exciting. Okay, Trophy. I do want to switch over to what we're actually kickstarting, which is we are going to kickstart 3 hardcover books. And I want to say that these hardcover books are going to be beautiful. They're going to be premium quality. I think they are 7x10 hardcovers,
Yep,
if I'm
that's right. Yep.
not mistaken. They are going to be on delicious 150 GSM paper, which is the only kind of paper I like to use. It's very thick and luxurious paper, full color, partial cloth binding, ribbon bookmark, all the bells and whistles. These are going to be beautiful, beautiful books. But let's talk about what is inside these books, like what these books are. So we've got Trophy Dark, Trophy Gold, and Trophy Loom. Jesse, what is Trophy Dark?
Trophy Dark is the game that started it all, the core Trophy, the game of psychological horror about doomed treasure hunters going into a forest or some other place that doesn't want them there. The book itself will have the core rules for Trophy Dark, but it will also have over a dozen incursions. So games that people might already be familiar with from Codex, but also a bunch of new stuff. It'll have rules for making your own incursions. So if you want to try bringing your players through your own terrifying gauntlet, you can do that. It'll have guidelines for incorporating Trophy Dark into a part of another fantasy game. So for example, if you want to use this as a one-shot or a flashback, kind of a lead-in to another campaign, you can do that. It'll have rules for combining Trophy Dark and Trophy Gold into a single campaign, which is really exciting and something that I think a lot of people are going to do.
Yep. Yeah.
And then it'll have a step-by-step walkthrough of how to run a game. If you've seen Girl Underground, my other game with Lauren McManaman, we have a couple page of rules in there on how to, like, basically minute-by-minute breakdown of how to run a game, and we're going to do the same thing with Trophy Dark.
That's awesome. Yeah, I'm really excited. I mean, like you said, the bulk of this book is going to be what's already been printed in Codex, and so folks are essentially just kind of getting a physical version of what's been coming out in Codex, but there is a lot of extra stuff. I mean, I'm very excited. I'm particularly excited about the guidelines for making Dark and Gold into a single campaign. Like, that's pretty awesome, because Dark is a one-shot game, right? Like, it's a one-shot game, perfect for convention play, for side stories. Like you said, if you're playing another fantasy game, using it as a side story or a prologue or something, totally great. But I am in love with the idea of combining Gold with Dark. And I should mention that that's going to be written by Alexi Sargent from Cloven Pine Games. That part of the book is being handled by Alexi. I've worked with him a lot on other projects, and he has a very, very good grasp on like system and procedures and kind of how to tie things together like that. So that's a pretty cool thing. I think people are going to find that the guidance we're putting together for like how to run a good game of Trophy, I think people are going to love that. Like that is going to be so good for people. So, and of course, like you said, the incursions, and I think we're actually up to, I think it's like 15 incursions. Whoa. Actually. Yeah. I was like reviewing the contracts today. So we've got a bunch. There's a bunch going into the Trophy Dark book. So that's Trophy Dark. What is Trophy Gold? And here, tell us a little bit about Trophy Gold as a game as well. Like, what is Trophy Gold?
Yeah. Trophy Gold started as me wanting to run a bunch of cool OSR modules in a more lightweight system, even more lightweight than a lot of what I was seeing out on the market, and to do so in a way that like really honored what the OSR is all about: high lethality, unbalanced encounters, things that were really open-ended and exciting, and to do that in a really light way. Trophy Gold takes kind of the base mechanics of Trophy Dark, but adapts them for campaign play. So your hunters aren't necessarily doomed, but they are desperate. And the game itself revolves around needing to collect gold to survive. That is really the premise of it. Like, if you go out into the forest and you don't come back with enough treasure, you will die penniless and alone. That is built right into the core of the game, and that truly happens. People make terrible decisions and go deeper into the forest or whatever terrible ruins are in to get that last little bit that they need to survive. So that's kind of the core of the game. It's got a couple other features that make it a little bit different from Trophy Dark. For example, there's a bestiary, so you keep track of the monsters that you encounter and you give them names, and that outlasts your characters, which is really fun to see in play. And you can advance a little bit, not a lot.
Right, yeah.
But just enough. So yeah, that's kind of the core of Trophy Gold.
Yeah, so I've run about 10 sessions of Trophy Gold now. I have been really impressed with it. I expected it to feel like Trophy Dark in some ways, and it does in some ways. But I also kind of expected that it, like you said, like what was written on the tin was this is going to be a lightweight way of doing OSR things. Mm-hmm. And it is, and it works. There are certain parts of it that are just like on paper, like when you're reading the rules, you're like, oh, okay, I understand how this works. That's fine. I get it. But until you actually play, until you actually see how the systems interlock and interact with each other, you don't quite understand how fire this is, right? Like, there's this really great gameplay loop where, okay, so the characters are doing what's called a hunt roll. And you do the hunt roll, and the hunt roll helps you get these hunt roll tokens. This is a sort of out-of-character currency. You get these hunt roll tokens, and as a player, you have the option of saving up the hunt roll tokens so that you can spend them later to complete the goal of the set being kind of a subdivision of the adventure. Or you can cash them in to get treasure, which is what your character needs to not die penniless. And indeed, they have to have a certain amount of treasure before they can go back and recuperate, or otherwise they are kind of like failures, like they die penniless. Right away, you start to like feel this tension in the game. And it's a very gamey kind of thing. Like, this is like player tension, right? Mm-hmm. Like, it's a player making decisions for their character, like kind of out of character, right? If they stay on the incursion, if they stay in the dungeon, they have a greater chance of finding treasure, but they also have a greater chance of either just dying or, worse, even in some ways, incurring so many injuries and harm that it's going to just drain all their money when they get back home. Mm-hmm. Right? So it's a very desperate feeling kind of game, and it constantly wants you to basically make like this risk assessment. Like, how much do I want to risk right now? Do I want to keep going down this corridor? Do I want to explore over here, even though I know it's not really part of what we're trying to achieve, but gosh, there might be something in there that mm-hmm. will help me increase my treasure. And that feels really, really good at the table. Another thing I like about this game, this is another mechanic that's added to the game versus Trophy Dark, is the combat. The combat is so good in Trophy Gold. Like, it is intense, it's fast, it's scary.
It's very
you're like
scary,
on the edge of your seat. It's very scary combat. Like, I can't remember the last time I played a game where I felt like the characters have a really good chance of winning, of succeeding, but it's highly lethal and scary. There's a lot of pressure there, and it just feels really good in play. It feels like what that sort of grimy, grimdark, mm-hmm. hard luck, hard scrabble, desperate OSR kind of feeling should be in a system that's quite lightweight. I've been very, very impressed by it.
It's a game that I think tricks you into thinking you are more capable than you are.
Right, yes.
And tricks you into trusting your party members just long enough to kind of turn the table and protect yourself, which is great.
Right, yeah. Well, it's very much like Trophy Dark in that way, right? Mm-hmm. It has some of those like themes of like turning on each other to just preserve yourself, right?
Yep.
Okay, so Trophy Gold's great. What is in the book?
Again, this is going to have the core rules of the game. We're going to expand and adapt a few things, just things that we've learned from running the game. We're also going to blow it up and make it not significantly bigger in terms of management, but allow the players to go more places. So right now, the
scope
game
is wider.
Yep, yeah. The scope is wider, exactly. So right now, the game is very focused on exploring the dungeon, and we're going to add 2 kind of additional modes that you can be in. One is the journey to the dungeon or back from, or kind of just on the road, these new journey rules. And then we are also adding rules for back at home. So right now there are rules for how you heal up and what you do at home, but it's very mechanical. And so we're adding some more narrative heft to that. We're also going to add some new incursions to it. So things that people have not seen at all, brand new incursions for the game, which will be super fun. We're also going to add a bunch of new backgrounds and occupations and equipment and new rituals and things called sigils and saints, which are really exciting and fun.
Yeah, I'm pretty excited about it. What we have planned for it to sort of, it doesn't make the game more complex, like you said. It just sort of widens the scope of play, right? Because right now, like you said, the play is very focused on the dungeon crawling. And I think that's important because that's the part you want to get out there in the world and make sure it works, right? And so kind of adding the journey rules and the back at home rules is going to really like kind of enrich the whole experience, I think, and make it feel like a more complete campaign type of game, right? And of course, the brand new incursions. I think we're slated to have 6 incursions by some very, very exciting authors who we're going to talk about later. Yeah, there's going to be a lot of good stuff to look forward to in Gold. Also, we're doing a transcript of play too, I think, in Gold, aren't we?
We are, yes. So we're so people can actually see how a game plays out.
Right.
One other thing I think we're going to do is, well, these are already in the base rules, but for all those awesome OSR modules out there, we'll have conversion rules, so you can take those and adapt them to Trophy Gold.
Awesome. So, Trophy Dark, Trophy Gold. The third book is Trophy Loom. What is Trophy Loom?
Trophy Loom is not a game. It is a setting instead, and a setting that I'm very excited about. So this is going to take all of the bits of world building that have been happening throughout the various incursions and supplements that have been happening throughout Codex. We'll take all those kind of bits and pieces and start bringing them together.
Right.
Importantly, this is going to be system agnostic, so you can use it for Trophy Dark, Trophy Gold, D&D, Pathfinder if you really want to, I guess.
Your favorite fantasy role-playing
whatever
game,
you
right?
want, whatever you want to play it in. Importantly, it's going to not be just walls of text about the vast and wondrous history of Fort Durin, for example. It'll instead be a bunch of tables and things that maybe conflict and don't necessarily fit together, so that you can pick and choose which elements you like to create your own version of the world.
Indeed, it's called Loom because our sort of metaphor is you are taking these fibers, these threads, these strands of rumors and history and myth and kind of using them to weave your own sort of tapestry world, which is foundationally the world of Trophy. Like there's some basic things that are established, but then the sort of rich detail is kind of up to you to, like, you know, you get to pick and choose how you want it to kind of go. Our little marketing tag is woven. The world is woven on a loom of rumor, history, and myth. But I chose those words, and that's my line. I chose those words very carefully because that's what it is. The way we have these set up is the various locations and factions and things that are in Trophy Loom will have some basic description that establishes a baseline for what the location or the faction is about. And then it has a table of 36 things. And these 36 things are rumors, historical details, and myths related to that location or faction. And so you get to kind of pick and choose the things that you want to do to sort of flesh it out. And what I think is so great about the Loom book, as we've been developing it, is, so we've been saying already, guidelines for creating your own Trophy Dark incursions, right? This is the stuff that you can use to create them.
Yep, exactly.
When we did the contest, the writing contest, a lot of people who did the writing contest used some of the Loom material that we'd been crowdsourcing. They used some of that to create their incursions, right? And so it almost like it's a proof of concept, right?
Yeah, that's a really important point, and I don't want to gloss over it. We started crowdsourcing these ideas. So there are a bunch of these elements for the factions and locations came from the community based on their own games that they were running and things they wanted to see in their own games. And so it truly is a community development, which is so exciting.
I would like for our involvement, meaning the Gauntlet's involvement, publishing branch anyway, I want our involvement to be focused on community. And the Loom book is a great example of that. Like, you know, we did this crowdsourcing so that we could give the people in the community a chance to contribute. Like, hey, like, tell us about Fort Durin, tell us about the Rose District of Amberay, tell us about Barstool Prison, right? And so they've been creating like all this cool stuff. And then we did the contest, and the people in the contest were taking some of that cool stuff to make their incursions. And now we're taking some of the cool stuff that are implied by that and creating other locations in Loom. I mean, it's just been this really beautiful, like, kind of virtuous circle of community creation. And it's like really hot, and I'm really, really into it. I should also mention that the Loom book is not just entirely crowdsourced, though.
Right.
We also have a number of very exciting authors, some of which we are going to talk about today, some of whom we are not yet going to talk about. We're kind of saving them for Kickstarter, but we have a lot of really, really awesome writers in the tabletop role-playing game space, and even a few outside of tabletop role-playing games who are going to be creating material for the Loom book. I think the Loom book is going to be super special. And like you said, even if people don't want to use it for Trophy Dark or Trophy Gold, it should be highly functional for any fantasy game you want to run. So very excited about Trophy Loom. This is what we really came to talk about, the actual Kickstarter campaign. So it is a thing. We are finally getting it done. It feels like it's taken forever to get here, but we are here. We have planned a lot of stuff for this campaign. I'll mention again, January 21st. If you are listening to this on the first day it comes out, that's in a couple days, okay? January 21st, it's going to run for about a month, probably ending on a Sunday, so whatever date that is, but sometime mid to late February is when it'll end. We've got the 3 books. That's the main thing we are trying to fund here. But also, to help encourage you to get involved and to pledge, we have some add-ons. And this is the first time we're talking about the add-ons, actually.
Can I just say, before you say these, I am so excited about these add-ons. I cannot wait to have them in my hands.
Same. All of them completely unnecessary to play Trophy, but all delightful. So, okay, the add-ons. We have 3 different add-ons. We have custom dice, we have custom hunt roll tokens, and then we have 5 decks of character creation cards. Let's run through them all one by one. Tell us about the custom dice, because I've seen them, and they're fucking hot. They're so hot.
Oh my gosh, they're so great. Okay, the custom dice are going to be everything you need to run Trophy Dark and Trophy Gold. So we've got light dice, your kind of classic light dice. So first of all, they're going to be kind of a bone ochre color. They're really beautiful with like a dark brown engraving. They're going to have 3 hollow sides. So the pips on the 1s, 2s, and 3s are all hollow to let you know that if you roll those, that's a failure.
Right.
They're going to have filled in pips on the 4s and the 5s to let you know that you succeed with a complication. And then the 6th side is going to be the classic Trophy Dark antlers, which look
the antlers
super
logo.
Cool. Yeah.
And I should mention before we go any further, the assortments of these dice you're going to get. Oh,
yes. Yeah, sorry.
You get 4 light, 4 dark, and 8 gold for the add-on. That's the add-on for that. And I think the price we have that as for $20 you get 16 dice.
Yes.
Okay, so tell us about the dark dice.
Yes, dark dice. They are a beautiful blend of a deep purple and black.
They're so pretty.
They're so pretty, with like a kind of a bronze engraving. They're styled the same as the light dice. So you've got your 1 through 3 hollow, 4 through 5 solid, and then the antlers on the 6. And then the gold dice, which are
the most exciting
absolutely
of the dice.
Gorgeous.
Yeah.
In Trophy Gold, when you fight a monstrosity, you get to roll a number of gold dice equal to its endurance, which is basically the level that you beat it at. And you're only looking for 6s.
Right.
That's the only way that you get gold for fighting monsters. And so these dice are blank on 5 sides, but on the 6th, they have the Trophy Gold Sun logo, and they are translucent, but filled with a mix of gold leaf and gold flecks, and they are gorgeous. They're so pretty.
They're stunning.
Yes.
Yeah, they're stunning. As of the time of this recording, we're still kind of working with the manufacturer on them, but they are going to be so beautiful. Like when you showed me the inspiration pictures for them, I was like, just my jaw was just like, I stared at them for minutes. I was like, these are so beautiful. They look like they have gold inside them.
They do. I know. They're so pretty. Yeah, they're going to be super fun to roll.
Because they're blank on 5 sides, you can see it really well too, right? So yeah.
They're going to be gorgeous.
Gold dice are super hot. 4 light dice, 4 dark dice, and 8 gold dice. That is one of the add-ons, the custom dice set, and that's going to be $20 USD. The next add-on are the custom hunt roll tokens, and that is for 6 custom hunt roll tokens. What are those about?
Again, in Trophy Gold, when you are exploring the world, you are trying to collect tokens. And if you get a token, you can either cash it in for gold, which is what you need to survive the game, or you can save them up and move on to the next part of the incursion. And so we wanted some nice, heavyweight, physical tokens that you could use at the table. And so these tokens are gold coins about the size of a US $half. They're metal, they are gold and shiny, and each face is a beautiful custom mark. So one side is the trophy gold sun icon with a beautiful border, and then the other side is this strange leafy man's face who will be making an appearance in some of the potential incursions and settings and factions in Trophy Loom.
Yeah, they're stamped on both sides, right?
Yep.
Which I think is really, really nice. Frequently, stuff like this is only stamped on one side, or they have the same stamp on both sides,
Right.
but this is two different stamps. Really, really nice. And so there are going to be 6 of those Hunt Roll tokens for $20 USD. Again, that's the add-on price for that. And then the final add-on is the character creation cards, and this is 5 decks of cards. What are these decks of cards?
These can be used for either Trophy Dark or Trophy Gold. They allow you to very quickly generate a character. So there are 5 decks for creating your character. 1 for backgrounds, 1 for occupations, 1 for drives, 1 for rituals, and 1 for equipment. And you'll just be able to draw one from each of the decks and have a character in 5 seconds.
Yeah, I think that's so great. Here's the deal. Character creation in Trophy Gold and Dark is not hard anyway. Like it's a pretty quick process, but this will make it even faster. And what I think is really great about these decks of cards is all of the trophy character creation material it's kind of like spread out, right? Like it's kind of in different places and stuff because they're kind of like themed to the different incursions that they were like created with, you know, all the various character creation elements. But these decks will kind of put them all in one place, which is kind of nice. And it'll let you randomize your character, which I think is really fun. Like I just like the idea of randomizing your character. I've actually run the game that way several times, and it creates really, really interesting outcomes. Like when you just sort of randomly generate your character here using an online random generator. But this is the same idea. You know, you draw some cards and boom, you have a character. I like the idea of, I know what I want my drive to be, and I know what I want my rituals to be, but I don't know about my background, so I'm just going to draw that. Like I like the idea of being able to choose which part you randomize. And of course, they're going to be very lovely cards as well.
And the other thing that they'll have is just a little bit of extra detail, like what does it mean to be an ox, for example, in Trophy Gold? Or what does it mean to be a miner? We'll just add a little bit of extra flavor text to help you start thinking about who your
Getting
character
into
might
the
be.
frame of mind. Yeah, like what's a mannequin, what's this, what's that. Yeah, exactly. I love that. So those 5 decks of cards, that's going to be a $30 add-on for the 5 decks of cards. And so those are our 3 add-ons. We've got custom dice, we've got character creation cards, we've got the 6 Hunt Roll tokens. Now let's talk about the actual pledge levels, because here's where it gets kind of interesting, and this is where you kind of need to pay attention, listeners, or just go look at the page. You can pledge at various levels to get these different things. There's the digital only level, which is $30, and that gets you all 3 PDFs, Gold, Dark, and Loom, plus any digital stretch goals that we unlock during the campaign. That's $30, and that's just all the digital stuff. There's a $40 level for each of Dark, Gold, and Loom. So if you just want the Dark book, you can just pledge $40. You get the Dark book, plus you get all the stuff at the digital level. You can also do add-ons to these. So if you are only interested in Dark and you want to just have Dark and just have the rest of the stuff digital, but you kind of like the idea of the custom dice because they're really great, you can just add $20 to your pledge and get the Dark book plus the dice and all the digital stuff, right? So you can kind of mix and match with the add-ons. But then it gets interesting. If you want to get all 3 books, you can get all 3 books at a reduced price at the Archivist pledge tier, and that's $100 USD. That gets you all 3 books, which is $20 cheaper than if you got them individually. And that tier also comes with a special slipcase. So the books and the Archivist level the books will come in a slipcase. And so you'll have this like really nice, beautiful slipcase to put the books in. And that's going to be really great. And then the tier after that is called Treasure Hunter. And that's $150. And that gets you the 3 books in the slipcase plus 1 each of the add-ons. So a set of custom dice, a set of custom Hunt Roll tokens, and the character cards for $150. And if you get that pledged here, it comes out to like $40 cheaper than if you were to get all this stuff individually, say like on Backer Kit later. For your money, if you want all of it, the treasure hunter tier is the best one to get. But if you just want certain books, or you just want the books, or however you want to do it, you have options. And so that's the money stuff. That's all the stuff you can buy. I think what's even more exciting about this Kickstarter campaign is the people we are working with. We have pulled together a really amazing team of people to work on these books. A lot of the stuff we have already, a lot of the stuff is still being written. But I think what's going to make this ultimately a truly, truly special Kickstarter, a truly, truly special product, are the people who are writing for the books. And so let's talk about some of them.
It's such an incredible cross-section of the hobby. I'm so pleased about that. We're pulling in people from the crunchiest of the OSR to the most story gamey, to people familiar with the scary horror side of the hobby, to people who are just incredible writers. I'm so excited about this team.
It's going to be so awesome. So this is not everybody. These are just some of the people who are kind of day one part of the Kickstarter, right? We have other people that we'll be announcing who will also be either for stretch goals or for day one members of the team. But we have Natalie Ash. Natalie was one of the runners-up of the trophy contest. She's a fabulous writer. In my opinion, Natalie is a name that people are going to know.
For sure.
Pretty soon, right? If not yet, it's happening. Like, you're going to know Natalie Ash. Same thing with Madeline Nember, Natalie's partner. I think those two bring so much darkness and horror and gruesomeness and just all that good dark shit that you want in an OSR flavored product, at least my OSR flavored products that I like. They are going to bring it, and they're going to be writing for these books. Natalie's doing a gold incursion, and Madeline's doing a Loom location. We have Jami Najati from Sword Queen Games. Jami is the author of Balak Bayan, which is a very, very well-regarded game on itch.io. We have Shell Khan. Shell is the creator of the Bicrom comic strip, and they have also created a really fantastic line of physical dungeon adventures called Pocket Dungeons.
Cloth tiles are so cool.
Yeah, they're like these beautiful cloth tiles, and Shell's a great writer as well. We have Paul Baldowski, who was a writer on Simbaroom, making this an entirely full circle kind of project, right?
Yep.
Paul's written for all kinds of stuff.
The Cthulhu hack, and Yep.
We have my partner in crime on Fear of a Black Dragon, Tom McGrenery. Tom also has a lot of role-playing game writing credits to his name. He's a very good writer. We have Zedek Siu. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. Zedek is the author of Thousand Islands and that really fabulous bug
Lorne
book.
Song of the Bachelor, and lots of good stuff.
That's the new one. Yeah, very, very exciting like voice in the OSR right now. And so many more people that we can't talk about. Do you have any that you want to throw in there that we haven't mentioned?
Oh my gosh, Linda Codega.
Oh, that's right.
Gabriel Robinson.
Michael Van Vliet, another one of the winners of the contest.
Yeah, there's so many people who I want to say but will not say right now.
We're restraining ourselves, listeners. And of course all the Trophy Dark contributors from past Codex publications as well. There's just so many people, and I think that's what ultimately is. I love the community aspect of anything to do with role-playing games, but especially Trophy. I love this Kickstarter because this is a chance to support a group of diverse, independent role-playing game creators. Opportunities like this don't come along very often, where you get to say, you know what, I'm pledging and I'm putting money in the pockets of a big, diverse cross-section of awesome independent creators. Like, that does not happen very often, and this is one of those opportunities, and I'm really excited about it.
This is truly special. If I were not creating this, I would be backing this right away.
Yeah,
it's so exciting.
I am backing it right away, so I can't wait. I'm gonna try to be backer one. We'll see. I could be, because I think I'm pressing campaign launch, so I should be able to, but we'll see. Okay, so listeners, there is actually still more to know about this Kickstarter. We're going to encourage you to go to the page, check it out. The preview link is up right now. By the time you listen to this, the campaign might have already launched as well. In any case, we'll have the link in the show notes so you can go check out the campaign. Check out all the different pledge rewards. We didn't mention them, but there will also be some higher level pledge rewards that come with game sessions that are run by myself and by Jesse, and some other little fun things we're going to do. So just go check out everything that's available, see which things you might want to pick up. You have a lot of flexibility in how you pledge. if you have any questions, go to the various places where you can reach us and let us know. Jesse, where can we reach you?
You can find me on Twitter at Jesse Ross, or at the Trophy account on Twitter, which is Trophy RPG.
Awesome. And I think that's all we've got. Is there anything else you want to say about the campaign before we go?
Thank you to everyone who has played Trophy and talked about Trophy and made this even better game than it could have been. I'm so excited about the next stage of our journey and hope you'll consider backing this campaign.
Awesome. Well, that's it, listeners. Go pledge. And thanks for all your support. Take care.